that are oftentimes assigned to kill us. What have you clinged to that should have been amputated years ago? I don't know what it is. You know, I don't have to know. You need to know. Is it laziness? Is it procrastination? Is it ego? Is it fear? Is it doubt? Is it rejection? Is it abandonment? Is it just pain? I mean, what is it? What is it? Why? Why? Haven't you been able to succeed in specific areas that you've set out to conquer, that you've set out to dominate, that you've set out to be the best? Why is it that you haven't been able to succeed? Why? Just of these questions. And what haven't you been willing to sacrifice? We all know the list. There's no time to get amnesia now. We all know the list of things we're going to say. Are we going to have immediate gratification and long-term dysfunction? Or are we going to have long-term gratification and short-term discomfort?
Start your day with Nature Made, the #1 pharmacist recommended vitamin and supplement brand.
If you're suffering terribly,
What it do? What it do? Good morning, everyone. Good morning. What's up? What's up? All right. Let's see. We got a nice little pull on the market so far. I'm looking for longs actually today. I just recently got in a long position, just one mini on ES at 44.98 even. Looking for a nice pop at the opening bell. So let's start the process.
Mistakes. And a redemptive mistake would be a mistake that you make when you go out and try to do something.
Give me a second.
Say, okay, I'm going to try to do this. And you're not good at it. You make a bunch of mistakes. It's like, what's
All right.
That's the thing, is you've been informed by the results of your errors. Take some stumbling steps towards it.
All right.
As you take
Sit.
steps towards it, you become illuminated and enlightened.
So let's start the scan. Okay, so first I'm gonna set an alert once we get a pop over here. Above. Voila. Now let's take a look at Tesla.
To those who have everything, more will be given. From those who have nothing, everything will be taken. Everybody wants to get to a place.
All right. Pull back on Tesla. Low, higher low, consolidation. We could push back up. That's a good sign for NASDAQ. Nvidia.
Succeed so fast because they want to prove something to somebody else.
I started down the road instead of the path of least resistance. I started choosing the path of most resistance to prepare myself for the journey that was coming.
Most kids don't prepare themselves for the most resistance. No. They want to get out of it.
All right. Nvidia dropped down to 420. We bounced. We're consolidating. I see Nvidia possibly heading back up to 450. Now, I do know that we do have the Fed interest rates this week, tomorrow, if I'm not mistaken. AMD looks good. Meta. Okay, Meta looks same thing. SFT. Microsoft, nice. Netflix. Okay.
Recovery is everything in your life. Everything in your life is a recovery game. You're looking for it. It's not coming. It's not coming. Get over that recovery game. And that's the mentality I took with me. When you start to build yourself up, you start to have the one thing
SPY.
real authentic confidence from hard work. Everything else goes away. You no longer look to other people for your self-esteem. That's right.
We might have some trash volume today, given that we have FMOC this week. Morning, good morning, charting queen. My Facebook. Let's take a look.
Piece I was missing. I thought it was cars. I thought it was women. I thought it was everything. The one piece I was missing was being
Ooh, oil popping again.
dreams and goals. Things you want to be if you are still average. You got to get to the point where you get allergic to average. You don't think average. You don't perform average. Listen to me. When I tell you success,
Dynamic calendar.
nothing to do with that. That's what I'm telling you. Your boss can't
Damn,
stand
let's take a
your
look.
coach can't stand it. Your teacher can't stand it. Your spouse, listen to me. Your mama might put up with it. Your daddy
Ooh,
might put up with
oil's
it.
pushing.
Listen to me very closely. Nobody really likes average because average attracts average. You can't help it that you suffer from ambition. You can't help it that you suffer from trying to be great. You
Ooh,
can't help it
oil
that
had
you
a
suffer
gap
from
down
trying to get to the next plateau.
because
You
of
can't
the
help it.
contract rollover.
Every fiber of your being, every fiber of your existence wants to win. You can't help it that you suffer from a severe case of
About to fill it.
aspiration, purpose, and dream chasing. That's the exact reason why you keep racing, because you're trying to catch up to your dreams. Because they won't do it. They have
Later,
absolutely
let's see.
nothing to do with
For
you.
today,
Some people have a
what do we
problem
have?
for every solution.
Nothing.
Some people
Tomorrow.
don't believe that they can achieve at a high level. Some
Yeah, so
people
we have tomorrow interest rates.
doing what normal
So
people
we
do,
might have some
average people
not so good volume this morning.
but that's not you.
But as of right now, I mean, just waiting. I am currently in a long on ES at 44.98 even. I'm only in one mini. I am going to be looking to add to this position. So let's see what we get.
Say it one time. I need you to get out in the atmosphere. I need you to say it so you can hold yourself accountable to what you said. Tell a friend so they can hold you accountable. But after you say it once, shut your mouth, go into the lab, and get to work. Are you hearing me? Shut your mouth. Shut up. You didn't hear me say a million times I was going to speak for the NFL, but I'm in the NFL. You didn't hear me say a million times I was going to Australia. You heard me say it once, then I went in the lab and I got to work. Let me tell you something very carefully, because I'm tired of people calling me. I'm tired of people emailing me. I'm tired of people texting me and saying, ET is not working, ET. I'm grinding, ET. I'm hustling, ET is not working. Listen to me very carefully. You reap what you sow. Don't get it twisted. You reap what you sow. Now, if you don't see what you think you should see, understand that to grow a bush and to grow a tree, it takes a little bit more time, boo. So yeah, you've been studying for 1 month. Yeah, you've been grinding for 1 year. And yeah, you've been hustling for 2 years now, and you're not seeing what you. But guess what? I told you.
Yes, sir. Let's kill it today.
What were you doing the other 30 years? What were you doing the other 21 years? So it's gonna take time. But listen to me very closely. If you would get yourself in the lab, say it, write it down, look at it, but get in the lab. Number one, and start working on it. When you have an extraordinary mindset, you are determined to make the impossible possible. You are determined to make the unbelievable believable. You are determined to do more each and every day than an average person will do in a whole week. You are determined to do more in a week than an average person does in a month. You are determined to do more in a month than an average person does in a whole year. Some of y'all, you lied to yourself. You say you want to be great. You say you want to get to the next level. You say you want to be dominant on that field. You say you want to go to the Final Four. You say you want to be a national champion. Listen to me. You say you want a promotion. You say you want to start your own business. But listen to me. Talk too much. Shut up. Get in the lab and let's go to work. Go to work and do your work. Listen to me. Don't just go to work when you feel like it. Go to work
every single day. Work on it every day.
I need you to put yourself in a position to shine. I need you to put yourself in a position to climb. I need you to put yourself in a position to redesign. I need you to put yourself in a position to redefine. And I need you to put yourself in a position to realign your alliance. If the people in your circle are average, we don't do average. We won't do average. I need you to have a CEO mindset. Champion energy only. You set them standards and you make each and every person that you come in contact with rise up to your standards. Do not drop down to their level.
You picked John Franklin.
Listen carefully to the rules.
It's a real reckoning. I saw that figured on September 29th.
In a world where dry eye symptoms keep coming back, inflammation in the eye might be to blame. One man learns the truth. Over-the-counter eye drops typically work by lubricating your eyes. They may provide temporary.
Good morning, Maven. What it do?
Lasting relief with Sidra. Sidra works differently, targeting inflammation that can cause dry eye disease. Sidra treats the signs and symptoms of dry eye disease. Don't use it if you're allergic to Sidra. Side effects.
All right, let's see what we got going on CNBC. What type of
in the suite of these rates, according to Stuart Miller, who's I think the dean of the group, the executive chairman, aren't deterring anybody. So you have fewer homes. You have the one thing that is up 40% since 2019, not in the CPI, because only rents for the CPI. Rents could come down. There's been overbuilding of apartments. But David, I got to tell you, if you're Jay Powell, I think you're ready to talk real tough, even if you don't.
Well, he'll keep talking tough, right?
What he should
Saying 2%'s the focus. 2%'s where we're going to.
It's a big month.
I do wonder. We don't talk as often about QT, but it continues at a
Yes, it
fairly
does.
significant rate.
Yes,
I
it
mean,
does.
we were talking. What was it? 9 trillion going to as low. We could go as low as what, 6. Is that the?
Yeah, look, it's
And I do wonder about the impact over time. There's some who say it's worth as much as 25 to 30 basis points in tightening,
good point. He knows that. Powell's the kid that.
and on asset prices as well. And you know, it's sort of 9 to 8 maybe doesn't have the same impact that once we get to 7 to 6 will,
Where's it going?
for obvious reasons.
Well, I mean, we used to think that you would look at these worldwide fund rates and you would say, wow, money must be coming here at a 4.6 on the 20-year. But the money seems more immobile than I thought. It just kind of stays where it is. But in the meantime, oil just goes higher. I mean, Carl, if you get embedded, if you get what Stuart Miller said, which is that the consensus among people in the country is that housing prices are going up, so you have to buy now. That's precisely the opposite of Powell. Powell doesn't want any expectations of inflation, but we do have expectations. But we have it at the supermarket too.
Good morning, TT. What it do?
But I mean, not that I don't want to be too anecdotal here, but if you go and you buy rice, a staple in this country, it's doubled.
Yeah, I mean, Friday we got inflation expectations of UMISH that were actually cooler than we thought. Got an upgraded dash yesterday on moderating food inflation.
All right, so we're approaching
I
the
wish I could find it.
200 EMA on
Maybe it
the
is, moderating for the other guy.
4 hour.
At the supermarkets that we go to, we cannot believe what we're paying for and how much everything's up. I mean, I had a list of things that just, I asked my wife, I said, again, I hate anecdotal. This we all do, because we know that anecdotal is not that good. But, Annie's mac and cheese at $5.49. This thing was up about $1.50. Scallions, $2.99 a bunch. They were $1.99 a bunch. Arcana almonds, $14.99. Don't laugh. I'm giving you
Shopping.
Okay, yeah, it was my shop. Yeah, what? That was not the takeaway. That was not the takeaway. That was my shopping list. I mean, Carl, I got to tell you, these are going higher, not lower. Okay, that's all I'm saying.
Now, we'll talk about more concerns about the consumer today. Big note out of UBS and some others. But first, just some news out of Disney, which is holding its Investor Day today. Let's get to Julia Borston. Morning, Julia.
Yeah, good morning, Carl. Big news from Disney doubling down on its parks division. Quite literally, the company just filing an 8K announcing that it is developing plans to accelerate its investment in its parks experiences and product segment to nearly double compared to the previous 10 years. So increasing it to approximately $60 billion in aggregate. This 10-year, $60 billion plan includes, quote, investing in and expanding and enhancing domestic and international capacity, prioritizing projects anticipated to generate
Are
strong
you
returns,
involved here
consistent with the
on
company's continuing approach to
NQ? Currently, I'm not in NQ. I am watching for a potential dip buy on NQ. Right now, the only thing that I'm in is on ES. I'm long on an ES with a mini at 444.98. I'm only in one mini. I have room to add an additional 10. So I'm just waiting for confirmation to add to my position.
Gigantic up from previous years. The parks here are doing incredibly well, and this is in many ways to say, look, where's Netflix? Where's Netflix?
So right now it's just a matter of waiting until the 9:30 open. I've already gone through the scans, looking at NASDAQ, looked at Tesla. So again, I'll do it again. Tesla, sideways. Tesla could drop down to 262 and then bounce back up. Nvidia's pulling back, which it could also pull back down to this 420 area and then continue up. I would like to see a candle close above 443.78, so at or above. That would be ideal for a potential long. AMD. So I'm mainly focusing on the tech sector. AMD as well could pull back, possibly to test 101.27 and then a bounce up. AMD, I would like to see a candle close above 103. Create. Meta.
Very costly, but the return is suspect.
They are still going to make movies, but parks are clearly
Netflix. Netflix definitely looks oversold. MSFT, Microsoft. Apple is looking pretty decent. Healthy retracement. A retracement that holds over 176.97. Alert. So at or below there. Would be interested in potential longs on it. So again, overall today I'm looking for a long on the futures market. That means ES. That means NASDAQ. That means Dow Jones. I'm also eyeing gold as well.
Linear TV. I would say now there's a guy who has more sense. So he does exactly what I wanted in. Right, it's not doing the New Mexico theme park. That's not happening.
Despite your best efforts, Tom Rogers on Squawk made the point that there's a choke point right now with deals. Hulu, Charter, ESPN, ABC, and that operations from a stock narrative standpoint are taking a back seat.
Well, that's true. But I would just say that the one thing that is the true gem, that is the great use of their intellectual property is the parks. So I think that this is a I didn't expect this is even better than I thought.
It's a big number, 60 billion. That said,
So
we
what,
are
people sell
going
it on
to,
that?
investors are still going to wait for the company to provide a blueprint, I think, perhaps more specific than whatever is going to be presented today during Investor Day. That blueprint really encompassing sort of what's the true plan, you know, from our interview a couple of months back where Mr. Iger clearly made it, said there's nothing sacred here, but didn't provide specifics because there weren't none to provide. At some point, they're going to have to do that. What is the future of ESPN?
Okay, so how about this?
What is, you know, what's going to happen with ABC? And most importantly, what's the plan at direct to consumer in terms of, and again, they've given us these parameters, but even more on in terms of,
Okay, so here's the
when
plan.
we're getting to
I'll give you the plan.
free cash flow positive. Yeah, you
All
got
right, so,
it.
yeah, you have a vision contract with ESPN, and you have an ISO, which is TV term for isolation. It's other people, and I gotta tell you, I cannot wait to watch what I regard as being very good TV is the YouTube. But I want ESPN to give me an isolation of all the players I care about. Maybe that's a separate contract with the NFL. They'll give a contract to anybody. You won't. But I just think that this is the holy grail because so many people bet, there's so many what known as prop bets, parlays, of which are very exciting. Fourth quarter, Kirk Cousins, you know, it throws 2 touchdowns, and I want to see that. I want to be isolated on him.
You think sports is definitely the killer app for the Vision Pro, which you've been very positive on, despite its $3,500 price tag. At least,
Well, I think that T-Mobile is going to give me a discount.
I know we keep talking.
David,
No,
it's
actually,
my job to
I
posit.
keep saying it, and I keep saying that's not going to happen.
Well, you know, David, have you been to the store?
Which T-Mobile store?
Sorry. How would you like to tack on a little more by getting it from Instacart? Right? Isn't that great? Supermarket's incredibly expensive. You know what?
Why first half growth has been so soft?
I can't wait to pay more at the supermarket.
Supermarket, I do.
Why don't you go to the supermarket? It's a really enlightening experience, okay?
Every so often I do.
Well, Instacart will make it so that you get to pay more and don't get to pick out the produce. Can you beat that? I can't, you know, you go to Costco, which is cheap, and you make Costco expensive. That is my kind of idea. And I'm so glad it's going to be priced right and it's going to pop. Because I can't wait to pay more, even more than I'm paying right now. Vision Pro ISO.
So you don't want to pay $4 for rice, but you'll pay $3,000 for a consumer.
I'm going to buy it from T-Mobile.
Oh my God, with the T-Mobile. Let's get seated on the phone and ask him, all right?
I'll do it right now. You want to do it? We'll do a commercial. We'll do a commercial. I'll let you beat him.
While the boys do that, we'll take a break. We'll talk Instacart when we come back following on into the IPO waters. Talk about what to expect from the grocery deliveries firms, a public debut. We'll get to Starbucks downgrade today, some cruise lines, Deere, Dell, of course, the strike when we return.
Good morning, good morning. Nope, not late. It's still relatively on time. 10 minutes to go. Okay, all right. Yeah, so right back down to 15 355. Let's see if this area holds so far. Good rejection. Nice bounce off of the Dow prior daily low. Excuse me. Seven minutes to go. Let's see what we get. Oh my goodness, oil. Ran up to fill the gap and pulling back.
7 minutes before we get started with the trading here at the New York Stock Exchange. That's where we do this show from. Let's get to the next week. We're talking about Starbucks.
6 minutes to go, ladies and gentlemen, before the fireworks.
What you basically say is the China risk is too great. Doesn't matter what's happening in America. Doesn't matter that Simmons waits to you. What matters is there is a Chinese albatross. The albatross of China is weighing on this stock.
Why do you not feel that that's a valid concern?
Because the albatross of China weighed on this stock for a year. So now you come in and say, wow, what a millstone. Hey, terrific. Yeah, no, not here. No, we were great friends with the Chinese here. But here, it's getting bad. No, this is when you say it. It's when you make a contrary call. And you say, you know what? Everybody considers it a millstone. Millstone.
But Jim, when you're Starbucks trying to make a decision as to how many stores are going to open in 2024 in China, do you still open 1,000 stores?
What do they have? What's the
Given the state of the economy,
what's the biggest problem in China?
The property sector.
Youth multiply. So who works? As my daughter happened to be a barista, who works as baristas? The
Younger people.
There, okay?
What is that?
Game, set, match.
All right.
This is one of the few companies that are still employing. Now,
You don't open the store, people aren't going to come there. You don't open the store just so you can employ.
you mean you build it in one company? Is that what you're saying?
What I'm that's not the easiest thing to answer. It's been a key part of their stores.
I just think this was an amazing pull, like impressive, amazing pull, of which no one made. And here, he's not there. Look, the guy himself will take it down. He'll take it right there. And the people who sell it there to make me look bad, because don't you think I don't know? Because paranoid sometimes will correct.
Yo, what it do? Chillin', man, just here trying to make a couple dollars, you know. Word. You caught it from last night, or you caught it on this pullback down to 60.82? Oh, nice. Damn. And you didn't take profits at some profits at 61? Oh, you're bugging. Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 I remember when you called it, I was looking at it. It was at 60-40, 60-45, and I was tempted to take the trade, but I was busy doing some refunds and stuff. So I was like, I'll catch it in the morning. And then I overslept London. Mm-hmm. Retracement. Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Roto. Nice reversal at 7 a.m. this morning on that gas. Mm. See what we get. I'm looking for a nice bounce on the market today. So far we've done a pullback close to yesterday's lows on ES, but we haven't taken out yesterday's low. So see if this is a higher low. And yeah, I'm looking for overall. I mean, I would love to see a move closer to 45 29 area, but let's see. Okay, less than a minute to go. Volume's coming in. Take a look. Dow's catching a bid. ES is catching a bid. NAS not so much. NASDAQ not so much. Oh, Dow's pulling. Okay, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go.
Instacart getting ready to ring the NASDAQ opening bell in celebration of its IPO. We talked a moment ago about at least how Kramer views this particular offer, but also what it means to the momentum in capital markets.
Right. I mean, look, the offerings, the companies and the offerings are two different things.
Okay, Dow was looking good. Dow's pushing.
Terrific. And by the way, the rivalry between the New York Stock
Taking along on Dow
as we saw,
Jones.
but EFT.
Risking 50 points on Dow Jones to make 150 points. Let's see. Is ES gonna catch a bid? Ooh.
That means for markets as well as some of the downside scenarios, Jim, being spun out today by the likes of UBS. Evidence Lab, I know you're a huge fan. And they do take a crack at spending intentions going into holiday. The percentage of people who say they're going to spend less versus more is the second widest spread in about a decade.
Look, I just think that there's this, the have not is just, look, there's Amazon, there's Costco, Walmart. You tried it during the pandemic. Inflation cemented their use because they've kept their prices down. And now it's no longer a thesis, it's a reality. And the only ones that are still able to squeeze in would be the TJXs and the Burlington. The
Taking along on Euro USD and GBP USD. Okay, I'm in profits on my Dow Jones long. Oh, come on, ES. Move for me, baby. Yes. Ooh, beautiful, beautiful. Moving stop loss on Dow Jones to break even. Go for me, baby. Go, go, go.
People just saying, you know what? These are all value traps.
Currently long ES, long GBP USD, and long Euro USD.
It's just been disastrous this year.
It is. Well, I think that
we talked a lot about shrinkage, which in this case is largely comprised of staffed.
Right.
You know, they're hiring seasonally again 100,000 workers as they did last year, getting ready for Christmas. They're saying they're bringing prices down on any number of things. Again, we're already talking about the holiday season, which is still a few months away, but nonetheless, they had a release about it. Jim, you certainly look favorably on the management
I wanted to call it a buy yesterday. I was trying to come up with a thesis, but just say it can stop the gravitational pull. 3.7%, Carl, with a 5% 2 years, not going to be, the dividend's not going to save it. I think Brian Cornell is doing a very good job. It's just not perceived as offering the bargains that you get.
You need that market high. There she rose.
I mean, Walmart is rock bottom.
They're saying the same thing. Everyday low prices, Target's delivering with new deals every day.
I was struck, David. I read that and I said, I started the thesis by saying, and this is my last night's show, that Target's mispriced. That Target's the outlier issue. And I didn't say that last night. I said, this one doesn't make sense to me. Because it's a fun place to shop. They've got all these great private brands. It's got a terrific racetrack. There's a lot of good pricing. Shipped is good. But the market has just left this one behind. How do you buck it? I mean, I understand the dollar.
I guess you put up a quarter that's unexpectedly strong. That always helps, right?
Dave's got a point there.
Well, they're going to hire 100,000 seasonals, which is pretty much in line with the plan the last couple of years, as opposed to Macy's, Jim, where you're talking 38K. 2 years ago was double that.
Well, Macy's does have 10 fewer stores than last year, but double it does matter. I saw Walmart, by the way, bought basically creating a police station within the store.
Because, again, of shoplifting?
Yeah. I mean, look, it's obviously, I think, being underreported.
I'm eyeing NASDAQ for a potential long, but I want to see this 15-minute candle reclaim 15,355.
Why would you steal from yourself?
Why would you swell? Because if you're not a club member, you can steal. Doesn't matter.
Come on. Okay, reclaiming it. I want you to close. Oh, come on. Close above it, baby. Let's go. Okay. Taking along on NASDAQ. 15,350 is my fill. Let's go. Come on, baby. I'll look to take profits at 15,419 or even 15,404. Risking to the low of the day, which is 15,324. Come on, baby. That works for me.
if somebody's going don't let the door hit your way out. I think he's doing remarkable, and I know that he was under fire from a lot of people, including me, and I think that he's answered the call. They've rationalized. David, you know this Instacart? Yes.
I see. I was about to say, I hope you got out.
Well, I learned some subprime yesterday in basic staples. They must have a club right near me.
Nice.
Because when I order Sensodyne toothpaste, I could go around for someone to come over. I mean, Walgreens. It's Walgreens. It's Walgreens.
Same.
Yeah, maybe
I'm actually looking to add to it.
see you too. He's like, yeah, you want toothpaste, huh? This is great. You ever notice it, right? They have a lock with the premium, but you can only top line, what I call it,
Remember, we got Fed minutes tomorrow. 2 p.m.
saying you can do two things. You can say, wow, I don't have any sense, so I'm going to try to pick some up at Walgreens now. Okay, I'll go to Walgreens. Or you go in and make it home because you're not buying the Sensodyne for work. There it is.
So you're not into the CVS upgrade tonight?
Maybe on the healthcare side, but Andy Jassy has correctly figured out there's just a series of items that people order on impulse that they usually go to Walgreens for, and they'll give it to you same time. You come on, David, there it is. You can't make it more.
I hate Fed weeks.
See the teams, guys, on the ladies on the street unloading the Amazon truck, putting everything on to deliver in the neighborhoods. They don't let the cellophane, they have everything wrapped, and they just let it roll down the street. Put it in a garbage bin, please.
Come on, there you go. Get over.
That's really central to your thinking.
Red, baby.
Think about Instacart, the idea that you can, Instacart was a pop-up tan, but Instacart versus Jassy, I'll take Jassy, and I'll spot Instacart free.
Come on.
Let's do it. We can do a parlay. Instacart, Walgreens, CVS.
They're playing hard to get this morning, man.
Don't take Amazon.
Of course, a big part of the Amazon story is their efforts in AI. You talked to Safra Katz last night from Oracle about how it fits into their thesis right now. Take a listen.
What we need to do is both use all that data and help hospital systems and countries move all of that data to use AI.
She said, I ain't done yet. She said, I ain't done yet.
So I think her keynote is this afternoon in Cincinnati.
About that piece we've been talking about, and I've done, just came back from the last week. People just saying, thank heaven that you put her on. The Cerner deal is going to pick up a couple of $1 billion contracts. The number of contracts that she's picked up just this quarter for Oracle is amazing. And yet people still remember, David, that there were a couple of downgrades based on the fact that they were AI-oriented enough. Larry Ellis.
I gotta change oil. Come on, baby. I gotta switch over. Oil. Gotta switch the contracts. That's the one thing I'm not a fan of Tradeovate, bro. It's like you gotta switch the contracts manually. CLX.
I was going to give him pop, but then he was just talking about Pecco. Yeah, why he's just going back to football just to confuse you. You can't go against Larry Ellison. Larry Ellison is the most competitive person in America. I guess Elon Musk is probably yes, Elon Musk is why is he?
Well, he's not interested in expressing his wealth by buying all sorts of stuff.
How many World Cups is he at?
That's not cool, bro. It's like, just do it your damn self, bro.
Not that Larry is. Larry doesn't have to buy a lot of stuff too.
Every day. Sure is. Yeah, it's Larry Ellison too. He's back to school.
You're describing sort of the polarity of wealth in this country, and certainly a big part of the
Yeah, still printing.
the strike now in day 5. A couple of interesting notes. Barclays says don't count on, or D.A. Davidson said don't count on used car inflation in the 2019 strike, used car prices actually fell around the period of that strike. Doctors, though, says there's enough pickup inventory that if they do go forward with
Says she ain't ready. She ain't ready yet, bruh. She ain't ready. Come on. Come on, ES. Can we get over 95? Ooh. What? Let's go. Come on. Nas is looking good too. Stop playing with a man. Oh, there we go. And Q, yes, baby. Do your thing. There we go. There we go. Moving stop loss to break even on NQ. Talk to me. Nice. Yes. Come on.
U.S. Steel actually increases its guidance. $550 million of adjusted EBITDA. This was out late yesterday. Well above consensus. Budget should have been about $186 million. They're also talking about improved guidance being driven by cost. The company outlining more resilient commercial portfolio, higher cost benefits resulting as well in meeting what were estimates. We're talking now about a $1.10 to a $1.15 share.
Is that to stop?
That was not what I was trying to do, bro.
No, in fact, I think Jim indicates that there's a fairly robust auction going on for U.S. Steel. And it's Cleveland Cliffs, we know that. Arcelor, Tom. Yeah, they're in there without a doubt, is my understanding. I've heard of the third bidder that I've been unable to identify. So I can't believe it's I don't know, it's not. And by the way, even heard that there might be a fourth bidder for the entire site. I know it's hard to imagine. That said, we should get more clarity. I don't know exactly when, but I do know the first round bids are due this week. Yes, this week. So, who's big? Who's the Barclays? That's a new tandem. We saw that for more. Then I'm not going to tell you all the other papers, but what I am telling you is they raise guidance. There does appear to be a good deal of interest in this company. There's a belief that Cleveland Cliffs must own in some way. Arcelor is in there, third party apparently, maybe even a first round bids. I'm hearing due this week. We'll update you as we get more clarity here. They would own the auto stock is reacting.
Wow.
Does Cleveland Cliffs have a melee? I'm not sure U.S. Steel was happy with that move that Cleveland Cliffs made with the unions.
The games they play. The games they play. Yep, it sure is.
They both have the name Steel. Of course, there's they actually should trust them, Steel. Right? I mentioned Ford GM and Stellantis. They do that just to make our lives difficult. Stellantis. You see it? Toyota.
Speaking of strikes, the writers are back to the negotiating table, I believe. There's some hope that maybe they make some more progress. No idea. Is that despite Mike's comments initially, he's got to be a key part of this too. Nobody's a better communicator than him. Nobody's better at keeping it nice and keel, getting people to stock at 83. Disney stock is down, Jim, on the
so far not bad, but last time I looked, it's 9.44. I'm not throwing it down. Hey, by the way, Toyota Motor, just for they talk about who's the winner, it was at 162 in the third week of August. Now it's at 195. So can I pronounce them the winner for this week?
Yeah, it's actually a good note this morning.
Okay, there we go. Thank you. Come on, ES. play games with me like this. Hmm.
This 7 transition that is costing an enormous amount of money. The
Eesh.
administration is very much behind that transition.
But it's labor.
And then what, you're going to increase labor costs so much that you're not going to be successful in making that transition.
Oh,
Exactly what you formulated the CEO for.
On the other hand,
come on.
real wage is down by a third in 20 years. Because they got
Should have been at it on this. I would have been out of it.
20% improvement for 1K.
Stopped out of NQ.
You're supposed to just get paid per you.
It's got to be maybe around here somewhere, right?
Dow Jones is still looking good.
Yes, there's coming.
Still in EU and GU longs.
So 25%.
I think that's
Yeah, I'm still I'm still in ES. I just got stopped out of NQ because I moved my stop loss to break even on NQ and I got stopped out. I'm still long ES and I'm still long Euro USD and GBP USD. I might I'm gonna relong NQ again. Just gonna let this 15-minute candle close.
That was different.
He was the senator, one of the memories saying, I don't like you people. Well, I think that's the offer in the Fade is what they're right now. Fade, by the way, went first slim majority to win. Just everybody in four course saying that they needed some. It seems to look to the F-50, I say locked in.
Keep pushing this one.
sound like Tim Scott comparing it to the air traffic control rating days.
I just think this is existential. They give us this okay.
What yeah.
DJ Khan.
That's what that was. That
Now, I'm the guy who turns the TV on all the time. Never been a meetings. I do think that the disparity right now is 48. You cannot just sell it.
Well, that's the reason why the forward multiples are in the low single digits.
Absolutely. Have you seen the retail?
Yeah.
And they're profitable.
Love doing that.
Oh, it is? You looked it up. My father went to Gibbs. Went down by Macy's. And then Macy's being Nancy Torrance.
Season's term. We'll take a break here. Dow's down 43. There is some strength in some travel names. Carnival up on this upgrade that we got today. Quick reminder, you can get to know the CBC Investing Global Gym. Sign up and find out more at cbc.com/join the club, or just use the QR code on your screen. It takes you right there. As we go to break, we'll watch bonds as well as the Fed meeting begins. Decision out.
Missed the buy on NQ. I got a buy limit at 15, 3, 30, 39. I'm filled. New low on on NQ. B. Baby. Stop loss is going to be 15,300 even on NQ. I got in at 15,339. Where's that bounce? New lows. Yeah. Yeah, so far. Holding the lows as well, too.
you see, and he tells the truth about the sign-ups and how they're doing. And that was the case with the CEO of Planet Fitness, Mr. Ron. And he was fired, stepped aside. JP Morgan downgrades his goal today, and I had one of just him usually times. I mean, he was one of my absolute favorites because he told us this, but also because we see all these CEOs make fortunes. This guy deserves whatever he's paid. Maybe the franchise he's made out of money, whatever. But I'd like to know more. I'd like to know. I want to know why they didn't like him. Because boy, he was. Now maybe it was all
I'm about to get stopped out. 10 points away from getting stopped out on NASDAQ.
December. But as far as I'm concerned, that stock shows you that some people are worth keeping. And just maybe the board should go who sticks.
JP Morgan goes from 70 to 52. Yesterday it was Jeffries went 90 to 56.
He was the company for heaven's sake. He started by the counter. He did. Sometimes he would tell you didn't have things didn't go. What is he supposed to just say? It's always great.
So this is about franchisee relationships.
I mean, look, I know it's about selling franchises. It's not about running great clubs. At times, the customer does matter. I think so. By the way, tell me someone in the media did. Maybe we've all been conned by this man who started at the desk and did a fantastic job. I'm going to call it top of the website.
Not entirely right, yeah.
Davis got me so steamed today. I don't know. I'm going to have to just rethink the rest of it.
You can express your anger in football terms.
Yes. You're shooting baseball these days. It is news.
I'm not shooting at you, shooting this. I can't help it.
What's the fantasy last night? You lost in fantasy.
I'm a New York Jets fan, okay? I always lose.
There's a guy named Wilson. Would you hit him? Would it kill you? Hit Wilson. Who's killing him?
So we'll see tonight. Look forward to the discussion on Wilder and everything else. Disney is dragging out the we come back. Deirdre's exclusive with the CEO of Instacart as we await its opening trade.
Tesla dropping. Came down to the 200 EMA. Nvidia. Starting to catch a bid. AMD. Alright. You about to be out soon. I'm waiting. See if we get that 10 o'clock reversal. Away from getting stopped out. Meanwhile, ZL is just showing herself today. Stopped out. Jeez. the gap on ES. The complete fill of it is 44.68.
Energy, utilities, healthcare, and financials are all higher right now, but it's textile, consumer discretionary, industrial, staples, and communication services all way. What's not helping? You are seeing those yields marching higher on day one of the Fed meeting. For 30 minutes here into the trading session, here are three big movers. Cruise liners, Carnival and Royal Caribbean leading the S&P after Truist upraised both names, citing positive demand trends for 2024. Disney shares are lower, and the company planning to nearly double investment in its parks and cruises businesses to roughly $60 billion. And then Rocket Lab shares are plunging after reporting its first satellite launch failure in over 2 years. Down more than 25% this month, losing 10% right now. Guys, you have to be watching treasuries into the Fed meeting and plays into the action today. I mentioned the highs we're seeing there. We're now that near the highest level since 2007 on the 10-year. There's the 2-year yield, 5.1%. Expectations for the Fed meeting that they're not going to raise interest rates or change policy, but there is some suspense in what, first of all, Chair Powell says about things like rising gas prices and stickier inflation data we've seen lately. And then the big drama is going to come with the dots. So they released their forecast for where they think interest rates are going for the rest of the year and into next year. And that stated their ability to signal how hawkish they're feeling really about the outlook. Because especially in next year's trajectory, they take out, say, 25 basis points of cuts from where they were last time, which is expected, then that's a little tighter than the market expects.
And what's the market expect right now?
Market expects them to
Some long ass one, damn.
Yeah, which kind of almost kind of stick around because it seems unlikely.
Market's expecting at least 75 basis points of cuts next year. It seems unlikely now with the data coming in a little hot, but if we turn toward more recessionary type data and inflation continues its downward trajectory, the feeling is they can go from super restrictive to a little less restrictive, but that's not necessarily what's happening. And there are mixed signals. We got the housing data today. The housing starts data plunging. Building permits were up on the plus side, but I think the starts down more than 11% shows you the bite of, look at that, August at the end. What's happening with interest rates? And they continue to march higher, and that puts pressure on mortgage rates. You know, talking to Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, she remains optimistic. She's really sticking with the soft landing story. I said, but what about the lags? You're still starting to feel the lagged impact of that Fed policy. She pointed to housing. Here's what she said.
There are lags in the impact of monetary policy on the economy, and we would expect to see certain lags as a person will see in the housing market. But look, we still have a good, healthy labor market. Consumer spending remains quite robust. We've seen some windows for the production. I don't see any signs that the economy is in the midst of a downturn. And this is the best of all worlds to see continued strength in the economy, good strong labor market, inflation data, and that is what we're seeing.
I don't see any signs of a downturn in the economy. I know she's a politician now, but she's also one of the foremost economists in this country as well. And when she thinks about lags, she's talking about housing data, like we're saying today, but she doesn't necessarily see it wrecking the economy, and that's thanks in part to the strong labor market.
I asked Jim this question earlier. I'd like to ask you, quantitative tightening, QT, the impact of it on asset prices on overall. Speaking of lags, do we give it enough credit? Are we figuring it in? Is the market including the tightening, so to speak, that's...
So far it's been not as disruptive as some worried about and some had expected. They're trimming the balance sheet. It's kind of going steady. It's going the Fed's way, which is they've kind of always put it on autopilot and not to use it as a primary tool for tightening policy. And so far that has been the case because we have seen this decrease in liquidity, and this very much feeds into it. But it really has been all about the interest rate outlook. I think the bigger question, David, because so far so good on that front, is if when the Fed stops raising interest
rates, if the economy turns weaker, then does the quantitative tightening start to aggravate the market a little bit? But so far, it looks a huge problem for the markets. I think the other question is on the fiscal front, right? And what is the market telling us about? Is it starting to get worried about the deficit? Is it starting to get worried about all that issuance that the Treasury has to raise debt to fund the CHIPS Act and the Infrastructure Act and the Inflation Reduction Act, and then all of that really starts to ramp? It's another thing we talked about yesterday. The Treasury Secretary, though, laid it down as well. Listen to what she said.
We have to make sure that we do keep deficits under control. The statistic metric
She's like, not yet, not yet.
to judge the fiscal course is net interest as a share of GDP. And even with the rise we've seen in interest rates, that remains
Damn.
isn't the level for us. But do need to be careful about what we do going forward. And we can make sure we stay sustainable.
And guys, she went on to say that she doesn't see a problem, concern in the bond market with all the debt that needs to be issued, which I think is interesting because we were talking about Bregman last week, and that's something that he thinks he's really bad about.
Net interest as a percentage of GDP may be small, but net interest as a percent of overall government spend, so to speak, of the budget is going to get larger and larger, given the issuance that's taking place right now against the backdrop of far higher rates. I mean,
And that's a big reason. And that's a big reason that the deficit is now going to be 6% of GDP instead of 3% where it's expected to be of GDP. It has to be a concern. I think the question is whether the bond market is really trying its answer. It's not easy to tell because it's also coming against this backdrop of inflation that is persistently high and the Federal Reserve that is raising interest rates. There's one chart though that I really wanted to show you as it relates to all of this, which is Chinese demand for U.S. treasuries. And I think people aren't talking about this enough.
Damn. Dow BS still going.
Last night, and it showed for the fourth month in a row, treasuries. Is it geopolitical? I don't know. You gotta worry. You gotta wonder about it. There you go. Just leave you with that.
Thanks for the update. At least we got an IPO going. Instacart getting ready to go public today. After pricing at 30, that's the high end of expectations. Let's get to Leslie Picker next. Hi, Leslie.
Hey, CQ, I'm here at the NASDAQ IPO Execution Center. I'm told the first indications are expected to come in under 5 minutes, maybe 15 minutes from now. Investors are entering their orders currently, but it's still too early to tell if they are coming in higher or lower than that IPO price per share. Instacart, as you know, pricing its IPO last night to range, giving the company a valuation of $9.9 billion on a fully diluted basis. It's been a long road for the grocery delivery service, which filed an S1 confidentially 16 months ago. But when the market took a turn a bit, as higher interest rates y'all were just talking about, sell-off in tech stocks in 2022, Instacart put its deal on ice. But according to the terms set last night, Instacart will go public at a quarter of the valuation it received in a private round 2 years ago. But it's still raising more than $423 million in this offering, while selling shareholders will get an additional $237 million. On a relative value standpoint, Instacart is going public at less than 4 times sales. That's about average for most IPO cycles. It's putting the most recent peak back in 2020, 2021, when the median multiple was 10 times, according to Goldman Sachs. While it's currently profitable, Instacart faces competition from large grocery chains developing their own digital and fulfillment platforms, as well as externally run the likes of Amazon and Uber and DoorDash, just to name a few. So we'll see how the market sizes up these risk factors against the prospect of a profitable, yes, this is profitable, it's a growing company, and it's coming at a discounted valuation. Instacart is supposed to start trading about an hour and a half, 2 hours from now, guys.
hey, Leslie, there are, any number of investors in the so-called private markets, hedge funds, whether it's Tiger, D1. Tell us a bit about how they're viewing this. They own a lot. I don't think they're sellers here yet, but they could be, I guess, in 180 days.
They're not. The sellers here are largely made up of the co-founders selling into this deal and some other executives and employees and so forth. Interestingly enough, some of the participants, D1 is one of them, that bought in at that $39 billion private round a few years ago, they're actually buyers in the IPO. They're part of that Stone group that's buying in
Not quite there yet.
which is a kind of an interesting dynamic, and I think it's actually an important signal for the market as they're looking at doing what is known as a down round here at a lower valuation than that 2021 valuation.
Leslie, important day. With your help, thanks. Talking a little bit, Leslie Bicker. By the way, quick programming notice. Big notice exclusive with this current CEO today, right here on CNBC.
As we end the break, here's what else is on our roadmap for the hour. The Federal Reserve meeting on rates. What our latest CNBC Fed survey is saying about the risks to stocks from here.
Plus, the energy sector is outperforming. It's up double digits this quarter. Is there more room?
And another big strike deadline looms this week for the big three Detroit automakers. We'll get the latest on the negotiations. Let's go look at the street continues.
Mm-hmm. Going without you. Today, bruh. Mm-hmm.
The Fed is kicking off its two-day meeting on rates. How are investors feeling about stocks going into the meeting? CNBC's Steve Westman's here. He's got the results of our latest Fed survey.
Good morning, Dave. Yeah, response to the CNBC Fed survey seeing considerable uncertainty when it comes to the economy and Fed policy. That translates into risk in the stock market. With the current S&P level 4453 as of yesterday, seeing about a 2% decline for the remainder of the year, ticking back up next year before you get healthier gains into December 2025, which is curiously when the outlook for the Fed seems to clarify. As for the risk reward ratio, we asked what's the chance of a 10% decline increase in the next 6 months, and you can see it's negative 17 against an average of minus 11, so somewhat higher than average risk out there for a decline gauged by our respondents. Looking at the level of systemic risk again, ticking up, and maybe that's a result of some corporate bankruptcies and some of the we've seen out there, but it's up to 65% from 49% in July. The peak, of course, was coming in March with the December
soft landing. Good job. Big jobs. Really got off like some Soderbergh, saving that.
Seems so.
On both sides, Richard Sisson, Philadelphia Trust Company, writes that the outlook for stocks is positive as earnings are strong. The policy outlook for the Fed be on hold at least June of next year. There's some debate on whether hikes in November, 60-40 on no hike right now in the survey. There's a 48% probability of recession and a 40% chance of a soft landing. That's the uncertainty. Thanks for forecasters right now, guys.
Oh, here we go. That was NQ catching the bid now. There we go, NQ. 830.
So a soft landing in a traditional sense isn't really a possibility because of those aforementioned hard landings. You know, the problem now is very obviously the rise in oil prices, which doesn't have as much ripple effects.
Yep, I just re-entered long NQ. Give me a minute.
So many conversations about achieving energy independence, right? To a point where we are now looking at so much excess capacity between the Saudis and OPEC Plus, where we're essentially being held hostage to some degree.
Yeah, and clearly with decisions that are made by members of OPEC to restrict supply, that could cause an upward move. There's been a bit less production in the United States, certainly relative to what we saw back in the mid-aughts, I guess we're calling it. Not to mention the fact that you've got these other constraints already on the consumer, but also some of the big sort of corporate consumers of energy like the airlines, and you're seeing that reflected in stock prices. So this is more of a supply story on oil, not a demand story, which is why it'll be really interesting to hear how Powell addresses it, given that the blunt instrument of monetary policy changes and rate hikes not only affect the demand side of things, not the supply side of things.
So what's the strategy from here, Lizanne? Do you do a traditional sort of recession type playbook, consumer staples and utilities, or should you be looking at other strategies? Because again, this isn't like a typical economic cycle.
It isn't, and in fact, this cycle, for the most part, defensives have not been those classically defensive areas like staples, like healthcare. We've had a couple of bouts where during tumultuous times, particularly during the worst part of the pandemic, but then this year when we had the banking crisis, what became the defensive areas actually were up the cap spectrum into the techie kind of space. Now in the pandemic it made sense because those represented the ecosystem in which we were all living, and that was the only ecosystem that was sort of thriving in that environment. I think in the banking crisis it was more about stability and strength, being cap and strength of balance sheets, but you're not seeing the kind of consistent outperformance among those traditionally stable areas. And I think it goes back and reinforces what, as you know, we've been talking about for a couple of years now, which is factor-oriented investing. You can get defensiveness via factors by looking for ample interest coverage and strength of balance sheet, strong free cash flow. You can add in the growthy factors like positive earnings revisions and get at to where opportunities lie, and frankly where there's been consistency in terms of performance has been at that factor descriptor level, not at the sector or maybe simplistic growth versus value index.
Finally, on the segment, I know you're watching claims every week. Please pay attention to
Okay, she's still pushing.
John Burns to zero by next summer. Is that good in line with your forecast?
It does, and you've certainly seen the pace of weakness in terms of just the descent in payroll growth. Every single month this year has been revised down. The trend on a 3-month basis has been persistently down. We haven't seen it yet in terms of big spike in unemployment. States are seeing it. I also think that disconnect between the deceleration of payrolls and the lack of a major bump in claims is all part of just how unique the cycle is, including the labor reporting story, which may be getting, that story may be getting a little long in the tooth just because of companies, the necessity of companies having to cut costs in order to protect profit margins as inflation comes down.
Right. Yeah, that's what week's getting important too. Listen, it's going to get interesting here these last few months. Talk soon. Thanks. Thanks so much.
Fresh indications here on Instacart. Remember, it's IPO day, and we're waiting for the stock to open. Looks like the latest indication is going to open at $39 per share.
A full reversal would be really nice about now.
And expectations, which would have given it a $10 billion valuation. Looks north of that as we wait for the opening trade. Also, keep in mind, interview coming up with the Instacart CEO as well. Dow down 170, and now only one sector higher in the S&P 500, which is energy. We'll be right back.
Alright, copy that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Minus 2K on the day.
Welcome back to Squawk on the Street. I'm Dominic Chu. With just under 2 weeks left to go in the third quarter, let's take a look at where things stand in the market, starting with the energy sector.
which is the leader in September, as well as the overall quarter, as you can see there. Now, JP Morgan's Marko Kolanovic reiterating an overweight rating on that sector, citing rising commodity prices and lower investor allocations to those stocks. Also says the odds of a soft landing are shrinking thanks to higher oil prices, persistent inflation, geopolitics, and the risk of a steeper yield curve. And taking a look at some other sectors as well, Bank of America data shows that its clients were net buyers of U.S. equities last week, led by the financial sector, which saw its biggest inflow since April. Consumer discretionary saw its biggest inflow since June and posted its sixth straight week of inflows alongside comm services. Tech was the outlier, though, with a net outflow after it led the week prior. Now, that sector is on pace for a quarterly decline, so as we near the end of September, those are some of the key themes to keep in mind for this quarter as we head into that all-important, Carl, holiday shopping season. I'll set things
It's
back.
coming up fast, Tom. Thank you, Dominic Chu. Still ahead, the CEO of Instacart as the company goes public on the NASDAQ after pricing at the top end of the range. An interview you do not want to miss. We're back in a couple of minutes.
With your CNBC News Update. The 5 Americans released Monday in a prisoner swap with Iran are back on American soil. A plane carrying them touched down at a military airfield in D.C. early this morning. They were freed as part of an agreement that allows Tehran to access $6 billion in oil revenue frozen under U.S. sanctions. 5 Iranian nationals were also released from U.S. custody in that deal. A Moscow court, meantime, has declined to hear an appeal from an American journalist detained in Russia since March on espionage charges. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich was trying to appeal the court's decision to keep him behind bars until the end of November. There is no trial date yet set for Gershkovich, who the State Department and others have declared wrongfully detained. The search for a missing F-35 fighter jet in South Carolina is over. The $100 million stealth jet went missing Sunday when military officials say the pilot ejected because of, quote, a mishap and left it on autopilot. The debris from the crashed jet was found in a remote field last night, 2 hours from the base where it took off. Fortunately, no one was hurt in that incident, although I've got to imagine, David, that pilot must be getting a lot of questioning. Yeah, well, and a 2-day ground stop, I think, as they sort of review procedures overall for a lot of different aircraft. Bertha, thank you. Instacart going public today. It priced at $30 a share last night. Current indications suggest the stock could open as high as 39. We're keeping an eye on that. Meanwhile, Deirdre Bosa sat down with the company's CEO. She now joins us with a lot more. Deirdre.
Yeah, David, this is an app that was launched way back in 2012, saw its valuation shoot up to nearly $40 billion during the pandemic, now going public at around $10 billion. It's a rare gig economy company IPOing with profits, and that's largely due to its advertising business. But growth this year has been flat. So I talked to Fiji Simo about why now was the time to finally go public and how she could reaccelerate growth. Have a listen.
We felt that it was really important to give our employees liquidity. As you know, this IPO is not about raising money for us. It's really about making sure that our employees can have liquidity on the stock that they work very hard for. We weren't looking for a perfect market window. We were just looking for, supportive investors. And the fact that we have had such, good business results and 5 quarters in a row of profitability, including close to $500 million in EBITDA over the last 4 quarters, gave us the confidence that we needed to go public and get the support from investors that we hoped for.
Right, and you guys are going public at a very different valuation than where you were just a few years ago. How did you arrive at the decision to price where you did and the valuation where you settled on?
As you know, the markets have readjusted greatly between back then and now, but really what we focused on is our business performance, and our business performance is undeniably stronger now than it was back in 2021 when I took the job. Our gross transaction volume at the time was shrinking. Now we're growing. There were a lot of questions about whether Instacart would be just another pandemic fad, and we have now proven that we not only kept the COVID gains, but grew on top of the COVID gains and grew sustainably and profitably, which is really important. And so the price was, a very robust price discovery process, as you imagine, like in any IPO. But we feel like we're not focused on the price necessarily today or in the next 10 days, but really creating value for shareholders over the next 10 years.
Right, and part of what you're referring to, Fiji, is that the business really did take off during the pandemic. You saw huge growth rates, but since then, and this year, it's been flat. How do you return to growth?
Well, I think there's a couple things to keep in mind. First off, when I joined as CEO in 21, a lot of people were actually wondering if the business was going to shrink, and it was shrinking in the middle of 21. And since then, we grew gross transaction volume 20% in 2021, 16% in 2022, still growing this year. This year, we're seeing more of a slowdown because it is the first year that has no COVID impact, and it's also a year where we were impacted by pandemic SNAP benefits ending, and so that's creating a slowdown in our business. But as for how we reaccelerate growth going forward, we are going to continue to do the things that served us well to get to this point, which are having absolutely unmatched selection, having great affordability options for all kinds of customers, having the absolute best quality so that you get the order to your door that you need, and having the best convenience. And that's what has made us market leaders. That's what is going to continue to carry our growth. And then we have also diversified the business and invest into new growth bets, like, for example, connected stores, where we are now building technologies not just for online grocery delivery, but also for in-store, because 90% of the transactions still happen inside grocery stores. So that's a big driver of growth for us as well.
Okay, some of your gig economy competitors like Uber and DoorDash, they're sort of facing the same backdrop. They saw growth slow after the pandemic, but they're growing at a faster rate than Instacart is right now. They're also trying to build up their advertising business. How do you remain competitive with them when you're growing slower?
Well, I think it's 2 fundamentally different markets, right? Like, restaurant delivery is a completely different market and skill set than grocery delivery. And that's why you're seeing these players try to enter the grocery market, which is a very large market. So it's normal that it's attracting a lot of new entrants. But we have a 11-year advantage on them because we have built all of the depths of integrations with our grocers. We have 85% of the grocery industry represented on Instacart. So a very large supply advantage. And not just, retailers sitting on our marketplace, but actually retailers leveraging our technology even for their owned and operated websites, whether it's Kroger.com, Publix.com, Wegmans.com, Sprouts.com. All of these are powered in one form or another by Instacart. And that's, fundamentally the core recipe to our success and allowing us to deliver a much better, superior customer experience.
Right, and you've built up an advantage in data over the years, and something I've asked you also over the years that the former CEO, Arpurva Mehta, before you is if you would ever go vertical and build out your own grocery business, given how much information you do have, similar to how DoorDash is building out its own line of Dash Marts. The answer has always been no, though. Is that still the case?
That's absolutely still the case. We see ourselves as an enabler for retailers. When their business grows, we grow, and when they win, we win. We do not compete with our retailers, and to your point, that is a very big differentiation between us and our competitors. We enable our retailers, we don't compete with them.
Is that always to your advantage, though? Some might argue that DoorDash building out its own line of convenience stores and possibly grocery stores in the future gives them a better view of inventory, more pricing power. How do you think that plays out?
I think what fundamentally matters in grocery is having massive supply and selection because customers are very loyal to their grocers. And so the fact that we have, again, 85% of the industry represented on the platform is a core competitive advantage. As for inventory, because we are so deeply integrated with grocers, we have a view into inventory and we have a view, thanks to AI and machine learning, into what's on the shelf at a given point in time. And if it's not on the shelf, we can suggest the absolute best replacement based on billions of data points that we've accumulated over the years. And that's what creates a much superior experience. So competing with our retailers would not help us in any way. We already have the winning experience.
Current indication is for Instacart to open at about $39, so that would be a nice pop. But remember, very small float here. Guys, most people, they know Instacart as a grocery delivery company, but really
Phil coming on
business that provided
on
the
ES
for the IPO today. This is a higher margin business. It's growing faster. It accounts
I
for
can
about
hear you
30%
now.
of total revenue. I did ask Simo if that's in conflict with its grocery retail partners who also depend on advertising. She said that they like the incremental customers and the technology that Instacart brings them. But you've heard it from her. When they win, her partners win, Instacart wins. That's been the formula so far. We'll see if that continues to hold. But again, she says every time I talk to her that they will not be competing with their partners, which differentiates her from, say, a DoorDash.
But Deirdre, as someone who has I followed the grocery stores a little more closely and watched the growth of online business, I don't understand what Instagram's moat is.
68 or 67, let me see.
They don't have the supply chain. Walmart doesn't need them.
It's
Walmart can just
there.
build out their delivery business themselves.
The full
Kroger can
gap
eventually do that as well.
fill.
They have the scale, they have the supply chain, and now they have the online capabilities.
Yeah, it's going to be
What differentiates them in the
44, 60, 66, 75 to be exact.
Exactly that. So that's a good preview. I asked her, why does Walmart need you? They're building out their own logistics business. Why do they need to pay you? And she says that what Instacart brings them is incremental customers that may not shop at Walmart, but maybe on the Instacart platform. When you think of, say, Kroger's or Albertson too, and you could tell me this, Sarah, I feel like there's probably less desire to build out a logistics or a delivery network because that is very costly. So if Instacart can do that for them, but at the same time, we're seeing more consolidation in the grocery industry as well, right? So going forward, they may have more leverage, and this is all about fees. Instacart is a 3P, a three-party platform. And that's going to eat away at margins. But again, I go back to that grocery business, which makes them profitable before DoorDash, before an Uber, before the other gig economy companies.
But Deirdre, to be clear, their top line growth is not particularly strong, is it?
No, it's not. It was flat this year. They saw these huge gains during the pandemic. But what Fujisimo says is they're not just a pandemic darling. They believe that, there's such a small percentage of groceries being shopped for online right now. They can double that. And that's still a very small portion of the overall percent of the grocery industry. But that is a big question. How do you reaccelerate growth? That's what I asked her. If advertising is your business, but the base, the core isn't growing, how do you increase that when some of the competitors are growing at a fast rate? So that's something that she's going to figure out. She says that they're going to do what they've always done, but they're going to introduce more technologies. And that's sort of what she believes Instacart's strength is that she's never going to compete with their grocery partners. She's going to she's going to enable them to compete better by giving them the technologies. And that's why, I think that they're investing in a lot of the automation that they are and the companies they are, like automated grocery carts, and to kind of balance the idea that they're taking advertising dollars away, but they're giving them technology. And these are more of the traditional grocers, not the Walmarts that are developing it themselves.
Well, it's certainly interesting to hear from her, Deirdre, especially, her background, right? She was the head of Facebook app at Meta.
Yes.
So not a surprise that she's pivoted the whole business around advertising.
They've taken a lot of executives, several, I should say, from Facebook and from Amazon, and that's been their whole play. They want to be seen as an advertising company. I would say that actually goes all the way back to the founder of Purva Meta. I remember meeting with them years ago in San Francisco, and they said, you watch, we're an advertising and enterprise business. I thought, okay, I'll believe it when I see it. And then the S1 dropped, and you know what? There was some muster behind that.
Yeah. Oh, I remember Carolyn Everson was there.
Yeah.
A few executives. Thank you, Deirdre. Look forward to more sound from you in the next hour from the Instacart CEO as we await that opening trade. When we come back, key headlines for investors as President Biden takes the podium at the UN General Assembly here in New York. And as we head to break, check out the biggest gainers on the S&P 500 this morning. A lot of energy, a lot of cruise lines. Some optimistic comments on the outlook for 2024 helping the cruise liners. And then energy continues to move higher on the back of these rising crude oil prices. We'll be right back.
I find that many Latinx grow up in America trying to fit in. And fitting in is very different from having a sense of belonging. This country is what it is in big part because of our contributions. So owning that, being proud of that, and then looking up to those who have achieved their dreams. It is a big part of leveraging our Hispanic heritage.
And stop. me a sec, bro.
The world.
President Biden just wrapping up his annual remarks at the UN General Assembly here in New York this hour. Our Eamon Jabbers here with some headlines. Eamon.
Hey there, Sarah. Well, the president, as you say, did just wrap up within the past couple of minutes, and he touched upon at the beginning of his speech the role of AI in the world. AI is really becoming one of the sub-themes of this UN General Assembly here. Here's what the president had to say in terms of a U.S. vision for rules of the road going forward. Take a listen.
Emerging technologies such as artificial intelligence hold both enormous potential and enormous peril. We need to be sure they are used as tools of opportunity, not as weapons of oppression. Together with leaders around the world, the United States is working to strengthen rules and policies so AI technologies are safe before they're released to the public.
And Sarah, the president also said that the U.S. goal here is to make sure that we govern AI, not that AI governs us, something that surely everybody in the room there could agree with. He also talked about the competition with China, saying the United States seeks to manage that competition so that it doesn't tip into conflict. He wants to have a responsible relationship with the Chinese government, he said. And he talked about climate change, Sarah, saying at one point that we need to find market incentives for green technology. So a wide-ranging address here from the President of the United States at the UN General Assembly, Sarah.
The overall story as it relates to geopolitics this week, because it's notable that President Xi is not here, and the absence of other major world leaders was thought to be a benefit for President Biden on the world stage when it comes to courting allies.
Yeah. Well, we just saw a note from some White House poll reporters who are in the room at the UN General Assembly. They said that the Chinese delegation area, there is one official sitting there, but there's some empty seats in the Chinese delegation area, although the rest of the seats throughout this entire hall are pretty full. So the Chinese may be giving a pass to the president's speech here this morning. Volodymyr Zelensky is in the room. We do expect to hear from him on Ukraine and Russia. And there's a Russian representative in the room. So you have this fascinating dynamic of Zelensky addressing room at a time of war with the Russians sitting right there watching him. It is a fascinating moment in history, sir.
Absolutely, Eamon, thank you. Eamon Jabbers, keep us posted on the UNGA. Just want to show you indications of Instacart as we await the opening trade here. Latest indication we get is that $39.50, so continues to move higher past that $30 where it priced last night, again at the upper end of the range. For Instacart, valuing it well over $10 billion, though I think that there's going to be a debate, David, on this one in particular about what it signals about the health of the IPO market and the future prospects of Instacart, just because the supply is
it's a supply demand story, I think, more than it is a reflection of the underlying fundamentals of the company. It's profitable, but again, we made this point many times, but we should continue to. It's an extremely small actual offering, 600 million total offering, but you've got these cornerstone investors stepping up for most of that. So really talking
the reason this area is yellow is because that's the gap, right? So it was from here to here. So down here would be the full gap fill. So once the gap is filled, I'll delete it.
It's going to be a little while till we really know what the underlying price should be. I've argued, maybe that comes when the lockup expires and you see who sells. There's a lot more stock available.
Yeah, it's going to be one to watch.
No, haven't taken anything yet. I got into another long on NASDAQ, but I got out quickly.
He joins us in about 10 minutes as we're at session lows. 44.24.
I know we're going to end up having a bounce towards the end of the day, so I'll be keeping an eye on that. See if I can recoup. I'm down 2K on the day.
Sit.com. The United Auto Workers Union warning that strikes could grow if the two sides don't make, quote, serious progress in negotiations. By noon on Friday, our Phil LeBeau joins us this morning from Wayne, Michigan with the latest. Hi, Phil.
And Carl, it may seem like we're in a wait-and-see mode until Friday, but the negotiations continue. Maybe not at the main table, but I do know that some of the subcommittees are still in conversations on a regular basis from the automakers and the UAW. Let's run down that strike plan again, because this was announced last night by the UAW. Noon Friday is the new deadline. The expectation is that sometime before that, we may hear from the president of the UAW, who last night said, look, if you don't want to see more strike locations, we need to see serious progress being made in these negotiations. And he also said, we're not messing around. One of the automakers that is front and center in all of this is Stellantis. And for the UAW, the push with Stellantis is to keep as many of their facilities open as possible. There's been discussion about Stellantis closing as many as 18 facilities, many of them parts and distribution centers. That is at the heart of this, as is the question of one of those 6 final assembly plants. It is the Belvedere plant outside of Rockford, Illinois. It's been idle since February. That is part of the discussion. Does it fire back up as a manufacturing facility? Is it reallocated in some other fashion? Here is the COO of Stellantis talking with us this morning on Squawk Box about how Stellantis is approaching these negotiations and whether or not they have contingency plans in place if this drags out.
We have our contingency plans that were in place that executed when the contract expired. So our key focus, Phil, is making sure we've got our customers covered to the best of our ability on the front end of a sale, on the Mopar service side, if somebody has a service need as well. So we're really making sure we're being careful.
Part of that contingency plan, if you look at shares of Stellantis, is the fact that they built up inventory more than GM and more than Ford over the last several months, really over the last year. They've known this deadline was coming, so they've got 85-day supply inventory for Jeep, 100-day supply inventory for Ram. That is much better than GM and Ford. And if this drags out, guys, that could be crucial to Stellantis being able to weather the storm, so to speak.
All right, I want to check the LeBeau meter, meaning what you think the chances are that this thing gets resolved. Yesterday, I would say it was pretty negative. Has it moved at all?
No, very little. It hasn't really moved at all, David. I'm still not optimistic based on the people I'm talking with that we're going to see this. Certainly not resolved by Friday. I would be surprised if it's resolved by Friday. And if we see more strike locations announced at noon or shortly before noon, that wouldn't surprise me at all.
In the presence of the administration, not to mention former President Trump, and they don't seem interested in having these outsiders, so to speak, get involved.
I don't think the UAW is interested, David. I think the UAW's position is we have a right to collective bargain and to strike. And that's fine if the administration wants to talk with us, but they're not mediating. We're not getting in the same room with them. So I don't think it's having much impact at all right now.
Yeah. All right. Keep checking that LeBeau meter. By the way, I'm keeping that one. Patent pending.
There you
Trademark pending. Phil, thank you. Phil LeBeau, continuing to obviously cover that all-important strike UAW. Markets in negative territory. I should mention Disney shares down about 3.5%. This on a plan to increase spending significantly over the next 10 years in the parks. And 60 billion. It had been 30 billion over the last 10 years, but the response in the marketplace ran out of Disney's plan, and they're having their investor day has not been positive. Again, those shares down about 3.5%. We got a lot more stock on the street for you. Straight in.
Fed weeks, man. Yeah. Yeah. Once 11 hits, I'm jump off, go for a walk. And flip. There we go. Gap is pretty much filled on ES. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for me. I'm gonna call it for a bit. I'll probably check back in at 2 p.m., but I'm gonna sign off for a bit. Don't want to overtrade and add or compound my losses, so